So then, over to the second race of the Manufacturers' Cup, Autopolis in the wet. And Mazda took first blood a few moments ago in the first race of the weekend. Can they convert that into a second win and extend the lead in the points championship? Well, it's Paul Ura who will drive for them in this second race. Takuma Miyazono will be with Subaru on the front row of the grid. Then you've got Jose Serrano for Porsche in P3. Morimoto for Toyota lines up in fourth position ahead of Lexus and Kanase Kawakami in P5. Of course, former double champions. Then Nissan, also former Manufacturers' Cup champions, lining up P6. Arthur Mosso is seventh on the grid, and BMW with Thomas Labutale lining up in P8. Mercedes-AMG and Lucas Bonelli lining up in ninth position. And P10 is Honda with Sugimura. 11th place Lamborghini and Alifa in that final row of the grid, with João Jesus for Ferrari. A lot of work for both Lamborghini and Ferrari to do, and not a lot of time to do it in here, Jimmy, because it's only a 5-lapper.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be tricky for the guys here, because they're going to have to try and experiment with grip levels with something they've not had the chance to do so yet. I mean, Autopolis, tricky circuit, the best at times, added to the fact now that you're in wet conditions, a spray from the car in front of you lower down the field. I mean, Paul Ura's in pole position in two ways, really. One, he's literally there, and two, he hasn't got that spray to deal with, so he gets a much easier job going down to T1 for the first time. But interesting to see which cars and which teams really make the most of these conditions.
Well, just a reminder, points, of course, awarded down to 10th place in this race. 12 points on offer for the victor, 10 points for second, 8 points down to third, and then, of course, as we know, points all the way down to P10, and double points for the grand final. In terms of double points, a little bit more than that, actually, because it's 24 points in total for the victory, but more on that a little bit later. Let's get ready, though, to go for race 2 of the Manufacturers' Cup here in Fukuoka. It's time to go racing at the Autopolis Raceway, with Mazda across the line first, from Subaru, from Porsche, as we come in towards that first corner in the heavy, wet conditions. So wet tyres available for the drivers. No need to worry about any pit stops in this race. It's not really going to be set to dry out, but who's going to be able to master these conditions in the wet? So Subaru there in second position, with Porsche, who are in P3. And I'm going to see Porsche getting an early advantage here on Subaru. Well, it certainly looks like it. They go for the outside line here, and they're going to go sweeping around the outside. Are they going to make that move stick? Absolutely brilliant there for Porsche and for Sato, getting the better of Subaru, and for Takuma Miyazono, who drops himself down into third place, as we see Nissan versus Toyota for fourth place in the background as well.
Yeah, Nissan, they're chucking the car in and knocking Toyota out of the way, so I'm not sure the stewards are going to enjoy that one, but a robust move there from the fourth place team. Currently on board with Takuma Miyazono, looking at the back of the Porsche, went round the outside of him there. It just goes to show that different lines work in these wet conditions. Driving on the rubbered up dry line is a good way to slide wide, so you've got to try and avoid that, as Team Toyota making their way back by Nissan. McLaren in the background too, trying to wind their way through as Nissan scrambles some traction and corner exit here. Treacherous conditions for these drivers, and that spray as well really makes things difficult.
Yeah, it certainly does, coming down to the bottom of the circuit. Look at the advantage that Mazda have already built up, about half a second or so. Doesn't sound like a particularly huge amount, but it is quite significant, especially at this early stage of the race. Looking here at Morimoto then in the Toyota. Nissan very close behind Hiroshi Okamoto, the two Japanese drivers in the two Japanese manufactured cars, in fourth and fifth place there respectively. Can they make an impact here on this race? Through the left-hander and then through this long, lazy right-hander, which completes the lap. And you can see the difference in lines there. Nissan trying to go for the inside line. Is it going to work on Toyota? Well, they've got track position. It's just going to sort of converge as they come through the left-hander. They're going to shuffle to the curb on the outside, and Toyota might be able to pick the advantage back between them. They bang against one another as we come down the start-finish straight, but Toyota then into fourth, and Nissan still sitting there in P5.
Yeah, all this squabbling just lets the top three get away though. Nissan, big launch, oh, they've turned Toyota off into the corner pocket, goes Team Toyota into the gravel trap and down to last place. What a shame, because these guys were looking good in the standings. That's going to be huge for them there. You can see the teammates not happy with that whatsoever. Can't really blame them there. For sure, apparently, for Team Nissan.
No doubt about it. Stewards are going to be looking into that one, but Morimoto will be bitterly disappointed with that, as will the whole Team Toyota outfit. And, well, Nissan, as you say, I imagine that Okamoto is going to be facing some kind of sanction for that incident. Meanwhile, Mazda it is that lead the way. Let's have another look at it. So you can see here, Toyota in fourth place, Nissan going for that lunge on the inside. The gap is there, but unfortunately, sort of two doesn't go into one, and, well, you see what happens. Toyota straight to the scene of the accident.
Yeah, the gap was there until it wasn't. I think that was Karatsa driving the car there. So he ain't going to be happy with that one. But back in the front of the field, Paul Ura doing a good job fending off the attacks of the team Porsche there. Who's at the wheel of that one, Tom? There's Serrano's at the wheel of that right now. We know how fast Serrano is. Sorry,
Serrano is at the wheel of that one, beg your pardon.
Well, there he is. No, it definitely is Serrano. But yeah, we know how quick he is. Very strong team for Team Porsche. You know, Angel coming in and saying we've got a chance here. They really do. If they keep up these performances, getting by Team Mazda here, will help that happen, because right now they're looking very, very quick.
Well, at the moment they're even on points, let's not forget. Both on 22 points. Look at the sliding there for Serrano. He's just trying to find the limits of grip, isn't he? He's just exploring a little bit beyond that. But they're tied on points. So whoever finishes ahead in this race is going to gain a bit more of an advantage than the other. So there's plenty of opportunity and a good incentive there as well. More points on offer here in these World Finals. You can hear the rain battering against the windscreen as they come down the start-finish straight. So lap 3 out of 5 we are on. We come across the timing line then here, and sort of the three outliers at the moment, Mazda, Porsche and Subaru, they've got a 2-second advantage now over Nissan, who sit there in 4th position.
So we're just, that's down in part to the contact earlier on, but the Porsche are looking very aggressive, looking to make a move maybe on Team Mazda. They like the outside move here, does Serrano. Winning it on Paul Ura, he's done, round the outside goes Jose Serrano for Team Porsche, passing his teammate, his Spanish teammate there, Paul Ura in the Mazda. Man, these guys really are going at it, aren't they? And in the back there, Takuma Miyazono trying to follow his way through. These top 3 cars give us a hell of a show.
This circuit really does suit the Subaru there in 3rd place as well. So let's keep an eye out and see what Miyazono is going to be able to do as they make their way through. Now the circuit begins to open up a little bit in this sort of mid-section of it. We flick through this right-hander, and this is a bit of an Achilles heel for Subaru. It's a very good car in techniques of the track. On the longer straight, not so good because it doesn't have the same straight line speed. This is Lexus versus Lamborghini down to the first corner. Mercedes and BMW, and Lamborghini just comes careering into the side of them. So Lamborghini really suffering some misfortune in this race, and Gotto, the aggressor in that one, unfortunately, I think there's going to be more penalties coming their way.
There's a lot of this going on. It's really hard to pick your braking zone down there, and unfortunately, if you're on the outside ahead of them, you kind of act as the brake, and of course that'll be looked into by our stewards as well. On board now with Miyazono in the Subaru, really working the wheel of this Subaru VRZ. Almost run into the back of the Mazda. Lamborghini, unsurprisingly there, slapped the 2-second penalty. So that's what you get for shunting a car off. Lamborghini, that'll hurt them. Well, to be honest, they're 7th now, but 2 seconds to put them down to about where AMG is. Now here's where we see the weakness of this Subaru. Runs out of puff on the straights, but very light, very agile. In that draft, actually, wasn't falling back too much.
No, okay, in the slipstream at the moment. Let's see whether Miyazono can use that to his advantage, coming down towards the first corner. Mercedes and BMW under investigation there as well. Still nothing on Nissan and the contact that we saw in towards that first corner as to whether they're going to be picking up a penalty for their pass in the incident. BMW look like they're out of this one though, as Laboutelet has not come across the line in a fair amount of time. We come through this left-hander though. We're now on the penultimate lap of racing here. This is a favourite overtaking spot that we've seen over the course of this one, and now are we going to start to see Miyazono coming through? There is BMW, there is Laboutelet, who clearly looks to be suffering from what appears to be some kind of a technical problem, being stranded on the side of the circuit. But I have to say, Jimmy, the rain intensity looks to have decreased somewhat in the sort of latter stages of this race. I don't think the circuit's going to dry up significantly, but it's definitely a bit less heavier in terms of the rainfall than it was a couple of laps ago.
Yeah, I should say, Tom, I think it's not really going to dry so much towards the end of the race. So it is really a straight fight between these guys. You can see going into this hairpin there, the lock that Paul Ura in that Mazda just crossing the wheel over, trying to get some grip out of those front tyres, just scrubbing across. And it's been a great race from Jose Serrano in that Porsche, really showing what that car can do in these conditions and flirting with danger, touching those curves from the wet, always a little bit scary. But not for these guys, proper pros here as we watch Miyazono again. This is where this car is strong, the Subaru. Really quick for these last couple of corners. What can we do about it?
Yeah, that is the question. Lamborghini and Ferrari exchanging positions there. Mercedes picking up a penalty for their pass in a collision, presumably with BMW. On board we ride though with Takuma Miyazono. We come through the left-hander in towards the final 2 corners of the circuit to begin the last lap of racing. And Porsche and Serrano now just needing to build a little bit of a cushion actually over Mazda and Subaru. And I wonder if that might just be enough for them to not come under any real threat on this final lap, which we now begin with Porsche leading from Mazda, from Subaru. That's your top 3.
Yeah, a little wiggle there from Miyazono, so that's really going to hurt him going on to this lap. So, last lap of the second race here for Fukuoka. Team Porsche leading by 6 tenths from Team Mazda. Subaru in third place. We're on board now at Miyazono. Can he invent something here? Anything that he can do? He's a bit far back, I think, to have any sort of lunge here. He's got a big strength to contend with, but we know this car doesn't do too well with. But he's really fast, Miyazono. He can really make this thing work if he can just find the line. Paul Ura also trying to get back onto the rear spoiler of the Porsche, but we have to say that Serrano's just looks in a league of his own here.
Yeah, first sector, Ura was actually a little bit quicker by a few tenths of a second over Serrano, so if he can continue building that advantage into the final sector of this one and continue that same sort of trajectory, there's a good opportunity for a possible lunge in the final few stages of this one. So Mazda and Subaru were tied on points at the start of this race. If the checker flag finishes as it is now, it'll be Mazda with a 2-point advantage going into the penultimate race of the season in the Manufacturers' Cup, with Porsche there in third position, but very close indeed, with just 3 points separating those three teams.
Yeah, this will bring Porsche right back into it. And you know what Angelo was saying at the start of this, like, I fancy this, I reckon we can do this, Team Porsche, we can be champions. If we can just get a good couple of races, this will be ideal for them. Only a few more corners separate Porsche and Jose Serrano from a win here in race 2.
Ura again a tenth of a second faster, gap down to just under half a second now, so it just takes that one mistake from Jose Serrano at the sharp end of this one. One slip of the tyres, one slide into the corners under braking, and that could present the opportunity that Paul Ura and Mazda are looking for a dive. We come through into that final turn though, and unless we see a mistake from Jose Serrano, it is going to be Porsche that will come through to take the checkered flag. Out of the final corner we go, and across the line, Porsche win race 2 from Mazda and from Subaru. Serrano takes victory from his compatriot Paul Ura. Miyazono on the podium there in third position, which means that we've now got 3 manufacturers separated by just 3 points at the sharp end of this one, with 2 races to go at the checkered flag. Ferrari versus Lamborghini to the line there as well was very close for 7th place. João Jesus just getting the better of Lamborghini's Alfa. But what a race from Paul Ura and from Jose Serrano. Ultimately, a very calm and controlled race from Serrano. Once he got his way through around the outside for the race lead, he just never looked like he was bothered again.
But how close was that? Less than 2 tenths at the end there. So definitely chased home was Jose Serrano by his compatriot Paul Ura. But you're seeing now why we've had such Spanish domination this year. These guys just incredibly fast. And for Team Porsche, that's huge. That really puts them properly in contention now. We've got 3 teams starting to pull away from the rest. Mazda, Subaru and Porsche, with only 2 more races left this year.
Yep, so 32 points now for Mazda, 30 points for Subaru and 29 points for Porsche. They're your sort of outliers, really. Of course, another opportunity for 12 points on offer in this third race. And then we go up to double points for that for the grand final as well. So let's see how that one is going to work out. Well, time for reflection after that second race. Wet conditions at the Autopolis Raceway.